In this video, I'm going to show you the top 5 stocks to add to your portfolio for July of 2025. So strap in, sit tight, and don't skip any part of this video because I'm going to show you not only the top 5 stocks that you should be looking at to potentially add to your portfolio, but I'm going to show you the technicals, the fundamentals, and the financials to back up why these companies are very good and likely to do well this year and why July is ideally the time to add these stocks. Let's dive right in. I am constantly gauging the market and the ever-changing landscape of which stocks are good to add and exit at particular times, which is why my students in Discord are doing so well. I'm about to unveil the top 5 for July of 2025, and if you guys want to make the profits that you're seeing on the screen right now and you want to up your game and turn those losses into wins, the link to join Discord is in the information box below. I told myself when I achieved financial freedom that I would do everything in my power to help others, so that's exactly what I'm doing. Let's move to number 5. The number 5 stock to add to your portfolio is Nvidia, and this is a very popular stock, and the only reason why it's number 5 and not number 1 or higher on this list is because it already has a majority of the market cap, but that doesn't mean it's not a good stock to buy and a stock to add now because it's most recently broke its ceiling in its double top peak and resistance at 148 to 150, which also had a supply zone there. Something I teach in Discord as well. A supply zone is where there's a lot of selling and a lot of liquidity. And once stocks typically break this and candlesticks go above this price or this resistance and they close above this price, it creates a new support, meaning it's a whole new area of movement for the stock upwards, and it's going to show even more growth. So this was a break of structure that we really needed to see on Nvidia. Let's take a look. This is exactly what I'm talking about right here. This is your supply zone. A lot of liquidity. Every time the stock comes up, it's like a double top peak. It's resisted everywhere. And now that Nvidia has actually closed above, this is a new opportunity because it's now becoming support. So the stock will now look to move up. We've seen this on many stocks that have run. In fact, almost every stock in history that breaks a supply zone or a resistance moves up at least short to mid-term. So even in bare minimum, this stock is likely to run for the coming months or for the rest of this year. And I have a price target on Nvidia by the end of the year of closer to 180 to 190. So there is still a lot of growth potential. And it's hard to say if this stock will give more than a 50% or 100% return, which is why it's number 5 on the list, but there's still a lot of growth on the table. 3.83 trillion on the market cap. When we go to the trailing 12 month, it's 148 billion, which is not the greatest. It's about a 20 price to sales, but there's still room to grow. Just like I said, not a massive amount of growth as far as other stocks, as far as comparison. EBITDA is very strong. Net income is strong. Total revenue and gross profits are also strong. Balance sheet, the assets cover liabilities easily, and net debt is 43 billion in the negative, which means they're sitting on $43 billion in cash, and the cash flow is 72 billion trailing 12 month, 26 billion per quarter. This is very strong. Nvidia is a very solid buy. There's really nothing else to say about Nvidia except now is the time to buy. We already know the stock is strong. And on top of that, it just broke a 1-year resistance. So Nvidia is now on a tear. Now would be a good chance to get in. And this is a long-term stock that will continue to outperform most other stocks as far as safety and consistency. It has its downs, but Nvidia is the leader in a AI revolution that is taking place, like Dan Ives said many times, and a party that goes on till 5 o'clock in the morning. And in my opinion, we're at 11 p.m. or midnight. So there's plenty of room to grow. Nvidia is at the top. Although they have the most market share, they are still the biggest supplier. The number 4 stock to add to your portfolio is none other than SoFi. It makes the list yet again. It's been a while, but now that the tariff talks are kind of going out the window and everything is getting better with tariffs, interest rate cuts are on the cusp, and inflation data is down and consistent. As long as we get interest rate cuts and the tariffs keep going the way they're going, SoFi has plenty of room to grow. And if the interest rates get cut sooner rather than later, it will move even more. But the market is already pricing most of that in. SoFi is approaching the ceiling, double top peak, and the resistance of the previous high several months ago. And if it breaks that and makes new support, there's a whole new area of life for this stock. This, without a doubt, is one of the best stocks you can can buy. Potentially could be one of the best, if not the best banks to buy too, but definitely the best fintech. SoFi has seen incredible growth over the past 6 months. Not as much as Robinhood though. Robinhood is a little bit different, so to speak. Robinhood has seen from a $14 price all the way up to 50, 60 plus. So essentially they have seen a 4 to 5x return, although SoFi has went from $6 only a year ago to 18, so it's seen a 3x return. But in my opinion, SoFi has the potential to 5 or 6x, which means there is still quite a bit of room left on the table. In fact, in my opinion, I would not be surprised if SoFi closed the year out at $30 plus. And realistically, 25 is within grasp. And SoFi is a great stock, a great company, and a great CEO runs the company. And Anthony Noto has said very many times that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they become one of the biggest banks in the United States. And the big key fundamental for SoFi is they're actually a bank. They have a banking charter, they have Galileo and Technisys and a lot of AI backing them, and a lot of products continually being added, and their year over year customer growth and year over year products added and overall growth as a company is very good. Anthony Noto has also sandbagged the stock many times for earnings, which has allowed them to consistently beat earnings and become very stable, and they're expected to always beat earnings. Because of this, they have a very strong and proven track record. Let's take a look at the financials and the technicals and look at the chart on SoFi. So you can see this is the double top peak. Actually, it's technically a triple top, but we can see that it resisted right here, right here, right here. It had resistance issues here at 17, and here we are up here at 1875 yet again. The big key here, like Nvidia, is we are looking for the stock to break and hold above the previous high of 1843, I believe, 1845, which we are doing right now, 1855. So if I was to draw a line right here, this is the previous high. And you can see on the 1 hour candle, we are dojiing above that line. This is critical, very critical to understand. Anytime I have previous highs, I turn this to like an orange color and I turn it solid. There we go. This is the previous high. Very important that it dojis above. I'll show you guys something else that is very strong, which is volume footprint, which is what hedge funds use. It's part of order and flow, although TradingView does not have order and flow. And we can go in here and look and see exactly what's happening. The delta is 480K, which is insane. 39,000 sales, 95,000 buys. We can see the buying is outweighing the selling, which means we're holding strong. As long as this doji candle remains green and stays the way it is right now, then we are good, especially if the stock goes up. But I do expect a nice run and then maybe a little pullback. And if it holds support and continues to go, this is the new high. And if it continues to do this, this is the new low. So this is the support, which means new life for SoFi and potentially $20 to $25 or more by the end of the year. If we look at the market cap of 20 billion and we divide the financials of trailing 12 month, it gives us a price to sales, which we did previously on Nvidia. And this gauges potential future growth. SoFi actually had a price to sales of 2 and went to 7, and then they dropped back down to 5 or 5.5. They're probably closer to 6 or 7 right now, I'm willing to bet, because of the way the stock has moved. So we look at 20.5 billion and we divide this by 3.89 billion, and we have a 5.26 price to sales. Just to give you guys a little bit of insight, good strength in the financial sector is between 10 and 20. Most stocks are between 10 and 15 in the financial sector, just depending on the bank that you're looking at. They could be around the 10, the 9, the 11, but they're up there, which means there's at least a 2 or a 3x return from the current price. So the way things are looking, SoFi could quite easily go to 36 or even potentially $54. That's why I tell you 25 to 30 by the end of the year is quite easily achievable, because there are some financial stocks that are in the very, very upper teens, like in around 20. And there's a lot of stocks that are way above that. Like, for example, Palantir is over 200, which is not good. The lower, the better. Apple's like 11 or 10. Tesla's like 25. So you can see that SoFi is very low. There's a lot of growth potential. Trailing 12 month, 389 billion, $1 billion a quarter. Pre-tax income, 79 million. Net income, 70 million a quarter. EBITDA, very, very strong. Look at the balance sheet. They have assets to cover liabilities, and their net debt is around $400 million. They actually had negative $1.62 million this time last year, $500 million in debt. Cash flow is very strong at $1.5 billion trailing 12 month, $300+ million a quarter, and their operation activities, their cash from these operation activities is also very strong. Great cash flow, strong balance sheet, great income statement, great growth, and crushing earnings every single quarter. This is a great stock to add to your portfolio. The number 3 stock to add to your portfolio is AMD. AMD returns yet again, and they are now on a tear, especially with the new incoming news about AMD and the upcoming strength with contracts in the Middle East and a lot of different other things that we're going to dive into right now with AMD. I told you guys that AMD was a strong buy several months ago when it was 112. It dropped to 105. Then it was dropping down into the 90s. And I told you guys that by summer, AMD would be running. In fact, in my Discord, I told all my students to buy July 18th leap options, which were at the time, the stock was $110 and the leaps were worth $200 or $300. And now they're worth a lot, several $1,000s. These leap options are strong. And I told my students in the Discord to take AMD leaps, and this was back in January, February, and then March to dollar cost average. And I picked the July 18th deadline because I knew that around this time things would be good for AMD, and the news came out just about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and it has changed everything, and it was right on time for July, just like I knew it would be. If you are looking to get these types of trade alerts, copy my trades, and learn how to trade in the stock market and turn your losses into wins, you can join Discord at any time. The link's in the information box below. And I told myself that when I achieve financial freedom, I would help others do the same thing. And that's exactly what I have set out to do. I hope to see you guys soon. Another thing about AMD is data center revenue is also on the rise. And they had a very, very strong previous earnings or previous 2 earnings. So AMD has found its way up to a new support right here, which was a previous resistance, breaking the structure here at 131 and breaking the structure again here around 140. So the new support for AMD is about 140 and down here again at 131. I anticipate AMD will have a nice run this year, 150 to 160 or higher by the end of the year. Pretty conservative. This is a very good stock. We look at the market cap at $231 billion, and we divide that by the financials to get a gauge into their profitability in the future for price to sales. And we've done this many times. 231 divided by 27. 231 divided by 27 is 8.5. And in the tech sector, we see stocks like Tesla at 20, 21, 25, depending on the month, and other stocks in the sector very similar. So there's at least a 2 to 3x return for AMD. If we just go off of 2x, we're looking at $280 price in the coming year or two. So there is definitely a lot of growth potential. Every stock has its inherent risk, but there's a lot of potential. We look at $7 billion a quarter, $27 billion trailing 12 month, and we look at operation activity income of 2.8, and we look at operating income at $800 million a quarter, almost $3 billion trailing 12 month, net income $709 million, $2.23 billion respectively. EBITDA trailing 12 months, $6 billion, $1.55 billion a quarter. We look at the balance sheet, total assets cover liabilities easily 5 to 6x. We look at net debt, negative $2.59 billion. They're sitting on $2.59 billion in cash. Very strong assets. The balance sheet is incredible. Cash flow is incredible. $2.75 billion trailing 12 month, $727 million per quarter. And their cash from operation activities is almost $1 billion a quarter at $3.5 billion or almost $3.5 billion trailing 12 months. AMD is showing incredible strength and growth, and they are higher on the list than Nvidia because they have more potential room to grow as they have less market share, which means there's more market share for them to acquire. And in my opinion, this is a very strong company to get right now. We can see the growth here on the graph is already starting to turn around on the cash from operation activities due to data center revenue and other revenue in the Middle East and worldwide. This is the time to add AMD. In fact, you should have added it several months ago when I originally called it out. There was a lot of haters on YouTube in my live videos that said AMD is tanking to 112, 110, and then it went to 95 with the rest of the market, which was not AMD's fault, but it did drop to like 115 and 110 prior to that. And I told everyone this stock by summer would be 140 or 150 or even higher. And and look at what we have. Can't argue with what I said, because if you go back and look at the live videos back in November, December, January, and you look for my AMD videos, I called all of this out. But of course, all the people that were hating on me at that time will say, pretty obvious, we all knew it was going up. But yet at the time, they were calling me a liar. Can't have it both ways. I told you AMD was going to go, and there it goes. The number 2 stock to add to your portfolio, we've talked about so many times, and is now being included in the Russell 1000. It's none other than Palantir. And because Palantir has dropped back down in the 130 range, it's making a little bit more attractive of a buy than it was previously in the 145 range. Although not the most ideal price, but mid to long term, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, still a very strong stock with a lot of growth potential. Palantir has a 50% commercial, 50% government contract balance, or just about thereof, which means geopolitical issues and war, Palantir will skyrocket, because it's not just your typical legacy defense stock, it also has AI built in. So one would argue that it's the equivalent of investing in a defense stock plus an AI tech stock like Meta or Apple or Google or Microsoft at the same time, which makes it a very attractive buy, and part of the reason why it ran during geopolitical tensions. Also, when geopolitical tensions drop and the stock market's doing well, the commercial sector does well, and Palantir still grows, and their AIP boot camps can do things for companies and achieve and accomplish goals that would take rather months or years, and it can do them in as little as weeks, days, sometimes even hours. It's a second to none opportunity. Palantir has a lot of room to grow, and in my opinion, there's still about a 2 or 3x in the coming 2 years. This is a very strong company to own shares in. Let's take a look at the fundamentals, technicals, and the financials. Looking at Palantir, we have a price to earnings that is high, a price to sales that is high, but gauging all of the future potential in contracts like Project Maven, a government contract of $480 million, there's a lot of future projection and growth built and baked into this price. I still think it's a little high. I would wait just a little bit to see if you can get in at like 130 or maybe at 120, 125. Anywhere down here in this area would be better if you can, or you can go out a month and be selling put options down here and stagger them down here into 108 over the course of a month or 6 weeks. This way you can try to get in, but missing the move would also not be good. I think that Palantir is going to show some strength in between 125 and 133. This range should hold lots of support, and if it does, you can start adding. But the key is you can never time the market. Remember, time in the market is better than timing the market. So if you add shares here and the stock drops, add shares. If it drops, add shares. My 33-10 rule, which I teach in Discord, is to buy 2 times on the low, 1 time on the high. Dollar cost average does not mean dollar cost lowering. It means dollar cost averaging. So that's what you want to do. Looking at the financial statement, we can see Palantir is $3 billion trailing 12 month, almost $1 billion a quarter. Pre-tax income 600 and 200, net income 570 million, 214 million, EBITDA very strong, 182 million a quarter, up from the previous 18 million, which is a lot. Almost $500 million trailing 12 month. Balance sheet, enough assets to cover liabilities quite easily, sitting on an abundant mountain of cash, negative 5.19 billion. Anytime you have a net debt number, anytime a net number is negative, anytime you have a negative net number, it means it doesn't exist. So a negative net debt means no debt, means $5 billion in cash. Very strong balance sheet. Cash flow, 300 million a quarter, 1.33 billion trailing 12 month. Free cash flow, 305 million, 1.32 billion in the trailing 12 month. Palantir, quite easily the number 2 stock to add your portfolio for July of 2025. Before we get to the number 1 stock for July of 2025, if you are new to the market and you want to turn your losses into wins like my students you can see on the screen, I would love to help you. The link to join Discord is in the information box below. I was raised Catholic. My parents raised me to do the right thing and to help others whenever I could. And that is what I've set out to achieve. It's what drives me every single day. But if you don't believe me, let's take a listen to what my student Mike had to say. So we are here with Mike, and Mike has actually been in my Discord since virtually day one. So I'd like to introduce Mike. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Corey. My name is Mike. I'm 73 years old, and I joined the Discord to learn strategies to earn passive income. I started out with 25,000 and it's now 84,000. Can't believe it.
That is awesome. That's like a
Yeah,
3x return in 1 year. That's a lot.
I love it. I
That
can't
is
wait to get up in the morning.
awesome. That is the goal. I'm very, very happy to hear it.
The biggest benefit for me was when we had the 2 coaching calls a week, you can interact with yourself in the coaching calls and you tell us what's going on with the current events. I just eat that stuff up because I do a lot of reading. Coaching calls bring you up to date and put you in the moment so you don't feel like you're missing everything. I would tell them that once they go into the training modules and learn all the strategies, and we post trades in the Discord, and if you take the trades and you're hitting it over 80% success rate, how can you go wrong? It's a fun ride. And boot camp's a blast. They'll have fun with the boot camp. You really learn a lot. You're able to really interact one-on-one with you. And well, who
That
says
is
you can't teach an old dog new tricks? The community in the Discord pulls up other members in the community, and you can interact in general chat. And then when you have specific questions, you can go to the Ask Corey section. It's all there for you. You just have to do it. You're happy. Get a bunch of small wins, you get happier and happier.
So you heard my student Mike had to say, if you want this to be your success story, I really want to help you. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner, if you've been trading a while, I can help you and would love to help you turn those losses into wins. The link is in the information box below. I look forward to seeing you in the Discord real soon. Let's move on to the number one stock in this video for July of 2025. And the number one stock is Adobe. This stock has been beaten down incredibly, but for no real good reason. Remember, anytime we're looking to buy stocks, we want to buy at the bottom and sell at the top. Adobe has potential to return to its previous highs of 600 plus, and the stock is under 400, showing us that we could have a 50% return if the stock just goes back to where it was previously. They are one of, if not the biggest software companies in the world, with Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Lightroom, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, and many others, and I've used all of them for the past 18 years. Very strong company, very good software. Let's dive into the technicals and fundamentals and find out why this stock is such a good buy right now. My AVP, which you can see right here in the yellow, is a strategy I teach in Discord in my mastermind classes. It's better than Bollinger Bands. It's very strong metric to gauge the market. And we can see that Adobe spends most of its time between 408 and 540. And right now it's below the bottom of the AVP, which is very big strength. And it's definitely a buying opportunity. If we look at the earnings, and I've looked at them in detail, Adobe has not missed an earnings since 2018. 7 years they have consistently beat earnings. This stock is crushing earnings with $5 EPS on their earnings every single quarter. Let's take a look at their market cap of 165 billion, priced earnings 24, which is stellar. 165 billion, let's gauge their price to sales. 165 divided by 22. 7.5, so potentially there is a 3x return on the horizon. The 1-year price target is 484, which means there's still $100, a 25% return on the window based on analytics ratings and the analysis that TradingView currently has, although I believe it's much higher, but bare minimum 25% a year is double the stock market return. We can see Adobe is already moving up and it's already above its previous low. It broke the structure right here of 388. It's now at 390. I have actually been selling consistent puts at 375, 377, and 380 so that I could get in a little bit cheaper and if not, collect a lot of premium. But this stock is likely, very likely, in my opinion, almost for sure going to break 465 by the end of the year. I say by end of summer, we're in the 426 to 435 range. So even if you buy this stock now and sell it at the end of summer or into fall, in my opinion, you're looking at making about a 10 to 15% return plus any covered calls you may sell, which is totally up to you. Let's look at the financials. And if you're wondering why Adobe dropped, it was their future guidance was lowered. But as you can see, they did go down, but then they started stabilizing and working their way back up. So there's a lot of potential growth here. Total revenue, $22.6 billion, trailing 12 month, almost $6 billion a quarter. Pre-tax income, 8.32, 2.10. Net income, 687 and 169, very high. EBITDA is also very strong at almost $10 billion, trailing 12 month, and $2.32 billion per quarter. Balance sheet assets cover liabilities quite easily, and their net debt is $850 million. It's up from negative $872 million in the previous quarter. Still very strong though. Cash flow, $10 billion, trailing 12 month, $2.12 billion, or 2.19 billion in the previous quarter. And then we have $9.44 billion trailing 12 month in the free cash flow and $2.14 billion in the previous quarter. And if you look at the growth, there is a lot more free cash flow growth and income in the previous quarters. They're going up and up little by little, 10% quarter over quarter growth. And there's so much room to grow in Adobe. This is the number one stock right now. I would not be missing out on this. Like I said, if you guys want to turn your losses into wins, the link to Discord is in the information box below. I look forward to seeing you there real soon and on the next video. Take care of yourselves, fam. One love.